Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome to Hildebrand Law Firm's video topic for today.
We are doing part 2 of a very important discussion regarding healthcare power of attorney.
Do you mind if I tell a good story about having this document?
Yes,
Okay,
I
good.
think a good story is an idea that we should pursue.
Okay, wonderful. So I had a woman come to me whose mother had a power of attorney for healthcare in place, and whose mother, she was getting into her 80s. Unfortunately, mother passed away at the age of 90, which was wonderful. Daughter comes to me just to let me know about how helpful the power of attorney was. And I said, well, what especially was very helpful for you? And she said, the section about your special desires. And so I said, please go on. So there's a section in the power of attorney for healthcare that
Not everyone,
not
though.
everyone.
So, yeah, just to be clear,
If you have one,
our power of attorney for
right,
healthcare.
exactly. If you have one, make sure this section is in there. There's a section in our power of attorney for healthcare called that discusses special desires. And what this section says is that if I have a terminal condition or a permanent loss of consciousness, I like to call it past the point of no return. And the standard is two physicians who have examined you and are familiar with your symptoms deem that you are said past that said point of no return. You have language in the document that says, I'm past the point of no return. Here's what I want done with me. I want you to make me comfortable and free of pain as possible. Drugs. I want you to write a no code or a do not resuscitate. I want you to pull any feeding tube or hydration tubes. And I want you to stop any procedures that are just going to postpone my death. So drug me, unplug me, essentially, is what that section says. And when she came to us, the daughter came to us and she said, it was so easy letting mom go when she got to that point because I didn't have a decision I needed to make. Mom had already made that decision when she signed her document. I had no decision to make. And I get so many people who come to us and who said, well, what do I do? If that section is not in there, do I let mom go or do I keep her alive? I said, I don't know.
What are her wishes?
What does she want?
What does she want? And I agree, that's very powerful. I have had multiple clients in here who have said that their parent did not have a comprehensive healthcare power of attorney. Maybe they got it from online, couple page document from the hospital, and they think that that is adequate, but then they live with this guilt. Would I have been doing something different if I had had more specific instructions from mom or from dad about what it is that they would have wanted?
Right. And so you mentioned the power of attorney for healthcare that you get from the hospital. I guess what's the problem with that? They're a hospital, they know what they're doing, right? Is there a big problem with getting this legal document from a hospital?
Well, yes, you don't get a prescription from Hildebrand Law Firm. So, exactly, I think it's really important to stay in your lane. And one of the elements that the hospital is not thinking about is they're not thinking about the fact that you can relieve somebody of any potential future liability. Nobody wants to sign their loved one up to potentially be sued by other people in the family if they make decisions regarding someone's health care. And similarly, no hospital or medical entity is going to be interested in stopping their work if they think that they might be sued as a result of their withholding of medical treatment. So it is incredibly important that there is a section in there that says, I do not want anybody to be sued, and I release liability to anybody who acts under this instrument.
Yeah, let me give you an example of a time where that happened. So, I had a client whose father was a cancer survivor, and client was the father's power of attorney. Father came to us to get the power of attorney for healthcare done, and the father, being a cancer survivor, he tells his son, No matter what, I'm not going through cancer treatment ever again. If I'm ever past that point of no return, just let me go. I'm not going through cancer treatment again. Years down the road, father goes to the hospital. Father's incapacitated. Father is diagnosed with a terminal condition. They find some cancer. Best medical practices say operate, get the cancer
Treat
out,
it.
treat it. Exactly. Father, who told the son, nope, I don't want any cancer treatment. Son tells the hospital, dad said no cancer treatment. Hospital reads the power of attorney, sees that there's a section in there that says we are absolved of all liability just by following the principal's wishes. No cancer treatment. Now, father gets his wishes taken care of, and son knows that he's not going to get sued by father's estate, and hospital knows that they're not going to get sued by father's estate if anything goes wrong. And so, this section of the document really gives legal teeth to the document, and it allows the people to act however the individual wants them to act.
I think that's great. And I think the final point, too, is that when you are acting as the power of attorney for someone, you need information. And the only way that anybody can get information, even on your spouse, is if you have a Health Insurance Portability Protection Act statement in your document that gives that person the ability to access your medical documents. And so that is incredibly helpful because you may not be tracking the medical history of, say, your aunt or your uncle or even your mother or your father on a regular basis. I know lots of people who prefer to keep that information private, but at some point in time, when they are not able to make their healthcare decisions understanding their full history, it is critical that the agent has the ability to obtain that information.
Sure. No, it makes perfect sense. And then one little bonus feature. Can I? Do you mind?
Yes,
Because
a
okay,
bonus is
my
great.
my favorite part of the entire power of attorney for healthcare is that there's a section in there, and we had to put this in there because 20, 30 years ago, people would abuse this. They would say, "Oh, I have the ability to make healthcare decisions for mom. Mom's incapacitated. She's starting to lose it. You know what, mom? You're going to a home." And so we put a section in there that says, nope, big limitation. You can't put mom in a home because that's the doctor's decision. You can't decide whether or not mom needs mental health treatment. That is up to a doctor. And so big limitation. So for anyone out there who's concerned that, oh no, my son, my daughter, my spouse is going to put me in a home one day, they can't.
Well, they can choose
Right.
because, of course, there are certainly people who say, you know what, I'm completely fine with having my child make that decision for me. And besides, what if I have dementia and there's really no other option except for to spend $20,000 or $30,000 a month for me to stay in my home versus going to a protected facility where I'm going to be cared for and it's going to be really a fraction of that cost. So the point is that you get to actually make that choice and make that decision about whether you want the people around you to be able to have that power or not, as well as other things.
Exactly. Well, wonderful. I
Yes.
think we've really highlighted a lot of really important parts of a power of attorney for healthcare. If you out there do not have one, regardless of your age, regardless of your status, regardless of your situation, I believe anyone over the age of 18 needs to have this document in place. You never know when something's going to happen.
Ooh, and that actually reminds me of one very important thing. If you happen to have a child who's over the age of 18, there are very strict rules now that you cannot get to medical information, you cannot speak to physicians, you can't assist in any way, shape, or form, even in making appointments. And so we regularly do power of attorneys for college kids because they still do need that support and assistance. And so if you have anyone in that category, definitely don't just think about the people who are, yourself or people that are older than you in your life. Really think about those kids and making sure that you can still have access.
And as a former college kids have the tendency to put themselves in danger more so than the regular population. So
Right. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we are, of course, Hildebrand Law Firm, and we are very interested in helping you protect your today and your tomorrow. So join us next time, and we'll have more information for you.